Super Mario Bros. Wonder just released, so you know what this channel is about. Let's mod the game. Okay, I should probably acknowledge that the game actually leaked like a week ago, and we've been looking through the files since then. Though I actually haven't played the game itself, I only tested some things out in 1-1. So this video actually doesn't contain any spoilers whatsoever. Anyways, using Switch Toolbox, which is basically like a Swiss Army knife for modding recent Nintendo games, it's basically trivial to open up and have a look at most files in Wonder. The game's file structure looks like this, and what each of these folders contains has slowly been documented over the past week. An obvious one is the model folder. Here you'll find every 3D model used in the game. So for example, if we wanted to make Luigi blue, we could open up player Luigi super.bfres.zs and replace the texture files inside using Switch Toolbox. Okay, well there is actually something about these model files that Switch Toolbox corrupts if you save the file directly at the moment, but we can get around that with some janky hex editing tricks. Anyways, that blue Luigi thing is actually the first mod I ever made for the game, so here it is. Amazing. Okay, so that's a simple texture edit to a model. Since the ground in this game is modeled, so changing a tileset is basically the same process. But let's move on to more interesting stuff. There's a layout folder which contains most of the game's UI. So for example, if you wanted to replace the game's logo, you'd do that in there. In fact, I made a Wonder style logo for my channel and put it into the game's intro animation. There's a voice folder, which of course contains all the Talking Flower voice clips, which people have already started to replace with swear words, because of course they have. But the folder I wanted to have a look at next is the stage folder. If you think this is where the level files are stored, you'd actually be kind of incorrect. Those are stored in the bank map unit folder, and we'll get into that after this. The area param folder inside the stage folder contains files that determine all sorts of things about the parameters for each zone of each level. So for example, this BGM type parameter corresponds to what background music this zone uses. BGM type obviously stands for background music type. Further into the file, under the skim param tab, these parameters here correspond to what terrain type the level used. So for example, Hajimari Sugun is Japanese for beginning grassland. So another one of the first things I tried with the game was changing this value to something used by a different level, such as Savannah. And sure enough, here's the Savannah ground in 1-1. I also think it's interesting how the color of the pipes in the level changes alongside the ground. So apparently, pipe colors are linked to the level themes in this game. Another set of parameters for every level can be found in the course info folder. This determines the stuff that's displayed about the level on the world map. So we can change 1-1's difficulty rating, what level name it displays, and its timer. I don't know why this value is here, though 500 is a pretty standard number for a Mario level timer. Maybe this points to levels originally having a time limit, like every other 2D Mario game. Another funny thing we can change here is what level preview picture the game uses. Okay, now for the really cool stuff, let's have a look inside the bank map unit folder, which is where the levels themselves are stored. First of all, I should make it clear what all these parameter-based files we've been opening actually are. They're nothing more than text files basically. You can just export them as a YAML and open them with any text editing software. Inside of these bank map unit files are several lists of things used to make a level. For example, there's a list of actors, which are like objects and enemies, but there's also a list of these BG units. These plot out a bunch of points on a grid, and if you connect these points in order, wait a second, that's the game's terrain. As opposed to every other 2D Mario game which uses tiles for its ground, Super Mario Bros. Wonder uses a point-based system, where paths get drawn from point to point and the ground gets filled in between. So sure enough, we can already manually change the coordinates of these points and make edits to the game's terrain. If you create an angle that doesn't correspond to either a 1x1 or a 1x2 slope, then the game will just draw this stairs-like terrain, but otherwise, slopes get placed automatically. And of course, that list of actors I mentioned can also be messed with in some interesting ways. Not only can we change the coordinates of things like enemies, we can also change their size and even rotation. Just as a test of how this all worked, I remade the very start of Super Mario Bros. 1-1. By the way, I have no idea how pipes work currently. I took the one I placed here from some other part in this level, and it's actually enterable and takes you really far off to the right. So obviously, a fully fledged level editor hasn't been made yet, but the main thing an eventual level editor would have to do is extract all this information and display it properly. But that will probably take a while, so up until then, all I'll probably be doing is making goofy edits like this, and of course I'll be playing through the game itself. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you're interested in modding Super Mario Bros. Wonder yourself, I'd recommend joining the Wonderland Discord server linked in the description. Another way of following along with the modding development of this game is by hitting that subscribe button. God, that's the worst plug I've ever done. Anyways, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.